Good afternoon. I'm Bill Stevenson. I'm the principal of Oscar A. Carlson High School. And on behalf of the faculty and the administration, the students and staff, and board members, I want to welcome you all here to our school for this day. We're absolutely honored to be part of this news forecast that we have today.
But good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, Bill, in Gibraltar Carlson High School again, and to work on our common mission of educating the next generation of conservationists. And it's wonderful. His school, as he mentioned, is entirely surrounded by wetlands, and it's such a wonderful partnership. As Bill said, I manage the International Wildlife Refuge, and it's part of a national wildlife refuge system that includes over 550 national wildlife refuges throughout the country and over 1.5 million acres. Pretty amazing, all devoted to conservation. Our refuge, as you know, is unique. We're one of a very small handful of urban refuges. We're the only international one, and we have been singled out for our leadership in public-private partnerships. Our refuge was created as a result of a multi-stakeholder conservation vision developed by both Canadian and U.S. people. Out of that vision, that was 2000, Congressman Dingell picked up that conservation vision and in 6 months wrote a piece of legislation, and that became the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge Establishment Act that was signed by the President in 2001. During that time, it must also be noted that there was a major battle underway for Humbug Marsh. Humbug Marsh is the last mile of natural shoreline on the U.S. mainland of the Detroit River. And a developer came in and wanted to put in condos, a marina, I see Jane nodding, a bridge to the island, houses on the island, another strip mall. It would have looked like suburbia. And people spoke out. The first public hearing for that to get a wetlands permit was held in this high school. So it's very appropriate, Bill, that we're here today. They opened the doors. It was a rainy spring day. There were so many people that came here that the state police had to close I-75. The fire marshal had to close the door to the gymnasium because so many people came to speak out. Those people galvanized, that brought people together, and the refuge is history from there. We went on, and with Congressman Dingell's leadership, there was a piece of property just north of Humbug. And Humbug is about 410 acres. There was an old industrial manufacturing facility, a Chrysler facility, 44 acres. And they made, it was a brake and paint plant for 44 years. It sat vacant for about 12 years as a brownfield. It was fenced off. It was cleaned up to industrial standards and sat there. And as part of this process, we were able to acquire it under the leadership of Wayne County to become an ecological buffer. What a vision, an ecological buffer for Humbug Marsh and to be the home of the Visitor Center. What a challenge also for Congressman Dingell and the rest of everyone else. So this is a picture from 1967 in the heyday of the manufacturing operations. From there, under the leadership of Wayne County, we brought together over 100 different organizations to go through a multi-stakeholder process to come up with a master plan. How would we clean up this site? How would we restore the habitats? How would we integrate it with everything around it? How would we improve the ecological buffer for Humbug Marsh? And that's this master plan right here. That was completed in 2004. That in 2005 then, we wrote a comprehensive conservation plan for the refuge that laid out our management strategy for an international wildlife refuge for 15 years, and in that we identified the Refuge Gateway as the future home of the Visitor Center. We went on with funding from DTE Energy Foundation to do a schematic plan that gave us more detailed architecture and engineering work on the site to basically have enough information for a capital campaign. Wayne County then was able to secure some funding through the Kresge Foundation to, through its Green Buildings initiative, to put green features into the site, to make sure that the building was a LEED certified facility, and that everything you would see and do on that site would teach you about sustainability. We then, in Humbug, built the first environmental education shelter. We took out an old road, crushed the concrete from the road to 21AA, used it as a base for ADA trails, put pulverized limestone on top of it, built 2 observation decks, and the Seabees. And who did all of that? The big construction work was the Navy Seabees. So another example of a wonderful partnership. And here's the commander in the middle of it at the celebration for that. That was 2008. We then kept following the master plan. We had a plan. We were going to follow through on it. The plan looked at a creek that was underground. It was called Mungwagan Creek, a Native American term, meaning sturgeon. It went underground. It came out of the ground and went into a ditch and went into the Detroit River. So there was no treatment of stormwater. So the plan called for daylighting the creek, taking it out from under the ground, recreating a floodplain, built a stormwater retention basin, built an emergent wetland, and put water into the Detroit River cleaner than it used to be before. That was all completed in 2009. Here's the picture in the upper left-hand corner of what it looked like prior to construction, and here it is at the end. An amazing train.
So I think my old dad, who's up above, I think he's looking down and saying, well, John, you did a pretty good job. We would know that we have finally begun to save some of the thousands of acres of land and to give people a chance to pull together to preserve and protect something that's precious beyond any belief, the Great Lakes and all the wonderful ecosystem which is here. And frankly, we do need a bit of education because just the other day, they had a bunch of people who wanted to stop controlling ballast water. And if you look at the history of this area, a lot of the nastiness that's come in, the invasive species, have come in ballast water. And I've got to say, I'm sorry I lost that fight, but we'll be going back after them again. And we're going to bring that to a halt because we don't need any more quagga mussels or zebra mussels or any of those other good things that are skunking up these wonderful lakes of ours. But I just want to say, you're part of a great effort. There are too many who have done too much for me to adequately thank today. I just hope you're looking at what you've done. I hope you're sharing the dream and the happiness and the enthusiasm that we all feel about what we've done and about what we yet have to do. And as I like to say, 2 things. First of all, my old dad used to tell me that we inherit from future generations the wonders of God's world, and it's our duty to return it to them in decent shape.
Project is literally transformational in terms of how an industrial brownfield can be the gateway to our international wildlife refuge, showcasing southeastern Michigan as an international leader in sustainable redevelopment and conservation, really helping to attract and retain employees for our business and enhancing quality of life. So I'd really like to thank the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, the U.S. Forest for financial support to complete the remaining cleanup and restoration work required for construction of the visitor center. It's truly an honor for Wayne County to be part of this, and it really shows how a public-private partnership can work together for really creating quality of life here, especially downriver. And what we see, it's a model really for the rest of the nation to see how well communities and public-private partnerships, as I said, can work together. And please remember that this will help us attract and retain employees for our region and help our communities and businesses achieve competitive advantage. I know a lot. We always talk about tax breaks and incentives and things like that when we're trying to attract new companies into the area. Believe it or not, they also look at quality of life, many of the corporate structure of what they're looking for when they come into an area, and this definitely adds to it. Not only can we brag about perhaps the Lions this fall, but we can brag about also that we're doing in terms of the refuge and how successful it is. Again, thank you to all the partners, and we appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
As a child, I spent a lot of time with my father in a wildlife refuge, the Nacita Wildlife Refuge, which was just a few miles from where I grew up. And we spent a lot of time hiking around that area, where today it's now expanded to 44,000 acres. All kinds of migratory waterfowl, and even, well, of course, the badger, it's in Wisconsin, and occasionally even timber wolves and bears. And I have to say that it was my great-grandfather's farmland, in part, that was taken to create that refuge. And through a Depression-era act that was used to relocate farmers on marginal land to farm better land and to turn this over for other uses. And Aldo Leopold was very instrumental in the creation of that particular refuge. And I know that the time that I spent in that refuge shaped the way I think about the environment and paved the way for me to choose a career in environmental protection. And so I hope that this refuge will do the same for many other people as they're growing up. I think it's fitting that we're in a school today. And Congressman Dingell, I just want to say, without you as its champion, the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge might still just be an ambitious plan. On behalf of all of us here today and the many people who will benefit from the Refuge Gateway, thank you.
Can't tell you how happy I am today, but I expect to be happy on a number of other occasions as we continue the progress we've made and that we're going to keep on making. First of all, Mr. Stevenson, thank you for your cooperation, for your help in hospitality today. Second of all, you, my old friend Bob Vicano, thank you. And you, my friend John, thank you for that gracious introduction, for the good work you do. And to Susan Hedman, thank you. We wouldn't have succeeded but for what you did here today in making this money available to us and making this possible. And to all of you who are here present and who have worked with us on what we're trying to do about this wonderful river and these wonderful lakes, thank you. Because what you're seeing here is not just a step which we're taking to preserve and protect a small tract of land, but it's an effort to create a whole new paradigm for the management and the protection of one of the great treasures we have in the United States. That's 20% of the world's fresh water, the Great Lakes. And I want to thank the Friends of the Refuge and the Alliance for what they have done. We also have a lot of thanks to the Friends of the Detroit River and others who have done so much to bring us to where we are.